with the Bengals losing Super Bowl 56, who do you think is most responsible for Cincinnati losing this game against the Rams?
Well, I mean, I got to give it straight. I mean, first and foremost, I'm looking at the offensive line. Joe Burrow was sacked 7 times this game. Joe Burrow was sacked, I believe, only 2 or 3 times in the first half. I believe only two. So you're telling me he was sacked 5 times in the second half? You guys were unable to make an adjustment. Your offensive line was unable to try to keep their franchise upright. Joe Burrow almost exited the game because he got bent up on a play because he was sacked and people fell on top of him and his right knee got bent up underneath. So you already tore your left knee. You already tore your left knee. Do you really need to go out there and tear the next one up? So that's first. Second, I'm looking at Zach Taylor, head coach of the Bengals, because he calls the offensive plays. That last drive was horrendous. You get 9 yards on the first play on 1st and 10. It's 2nd and 1. Terrible play call. 3rd and 1. You go right into a draw play that went nowhere. Aaron Donald was able to muscle Joe Mixon back. And then, of course, on 4th and 1, Aaron Donald immediately penetrates, gets the game-winning sack. So you're just looking at Zach Taylor like, what are you doing? Jamar Chase was able to make a big play on the first play of the drive, and then of course the next play was able to get 9 with T Higgins, and then of course right after that there was just shit play after shit play after shit play, and I don't know, man. It just showed inexperience. It just showed maybe a little overconfidence. I mean, I know me and Kyle talked about it earlier as the game had concluded, but that was probably one of the worst fourth quarter play calling situations I could have ever seen. I mean, you were literally cooking with Jamar. Joe Mixon was having one hell of a second half and averaging 4.8 yards per clip in the game, but in the second half, he was definitely averaging almost 10 yards a carry because, am I lying, Kyle? In the fourth quarter, it looked like he was averaging like 8, 9 yards a clip. It was just, they couldn't touch him. So I don't understand why they didn't lean on the run. I don't know why they didn't go back to Jamar Chase. So Zach Taylor, to me, is the second portion. But Kyle and I made this point in the beginning of the year, and I am going to stand by this point until this is fixed. Jamar Chase had an incredible year, offensive rookie of the year. He damn near could have went all pro. He had one of the greatest rookie seasons, if not the greatest rookie season of all time. It came down to protecting the franchise. It came down to Joe Burrow being upright. Do you guys understand? He was sacked 19 times this year in the playoffs. He was sacked 51 times in the regular season. Do the math. That is 70 times in one season my franchise quarterback was sacked. And by my, I mean like the quarterback as a whole, like Joe Burrow. I'm not a Bengals fan. I'm saying like if I'm looking at it as a Bengals fan, my man was on the ground more times than he ever should be after tearing an ACL. 19 times beats the previous NFL record of 14 times by Wade Wilson in 1987. How in God's name they got this far after the escapade that went down in Tennessee, tying a playoff record with 9 sacks in one game, is beyond me. The Cincinnati Bengals have a big problem. They hit on Jamar Chase. Thank God. Good for them. But man, if this does not get corrected immediately, Joe Burrow is going to be just like Andrew Luck. I have been telling Kyle this all season long. Tall, big arm, can make the throws, confident, great teammate, poised in the pocket, all of it. Injuries, offensive line struggles. It's literally a complete repeat offense from 2012. Andrew Luck inherits a shitty offensive line, except Joe Burrow's got way more playmakers and a better defense. So I don't know how this is going to go in the future, but if Cincinnati doesn't pick a page from, or should I say, if Cincinnati doesn't not pick a page from Ryan Grigson's book, it's got to be this whole draft. I don't want to see one defensive player drafted. This better be like 6, 7 straight picks of offensive linemen in free agency. I don't give a shit. You got to the playoffs with Joe Burrow getting beat up. It's the first time in NFL history the most sacked quarterback in the regular season goes to the Super Bowl. So I'm just saying, Cincy's got to figure something out, man. And if not, their franchise is going to be hurt a whole lot more.
I mean, as far as the game is concerned, as far as who's most responsible, I have to say Zach Taylor. And it really strictly comes down to play calling. Now, despite the fact that I think by and large, this game was relatively a defensive game just because both offenses really couldn't get anything going for the most part in the second half, outside of maybe like a drive or two where teams were putting up points. It's just that last drive Zach Taylor, I think, started off the play calling fine. I think that was a nice play that Joe threw to Jamar Chase, was able to get past Jalen Ramsey, got like 25 yards on that play. And it set them up in good position to get in field goal range as far as like getting within that range relatively quickly. The problem for me is when it came down to the last 3 plays of the drive. 2nd and 1. I don't know what Joe was looking at as far as throwing it to Jamar Chase, but throws it 25 yards past Jamar. I think Jamar broke off the route. And then you go to 3rd down. 3rd down, they get shut out on 3rd and 1. And then on 4th down, you're going out of the shotgun on 4th and 1. Now, the play call that they had in mind, I don't know if it was going to work out. I don't know who Joe was looking to specifically on that 4th down, but they had one more timeout in their pocket. And I would have been more interested to see the Bengals try to run it on 2nd down instead of 3rd down. Because to me, when you're on the 4th down, on the 4th and 1, you're in a passing situation anyway. Because, even if you do get the 1st down, you have to burn a timeout. And typically you don't want to burn a timeout when you're trying to get in field goal range with only 30, 35 seconds left. But just the play calling at the end of the game, I think it really shows Zach Taylor's youth and inexperience when it comes to making the right play calls in just critical moments of the game. And mind you, the Bengals got all the way to the Super Bowl this year. So there's a lot of credit that you got to give Zach Taylor for getting this team to where they were. But I think that there were some play calls at the end that really cost them a chance to get in field goal range. Because honestly, they really only needed about 10 yards for Evan McPherson. And Evan McPherson throughout this playoff run has been phenomenal for Cincinnati with hitting some clutch kicks. And unfortunately, he was never really to get into a situation to possibly get that game into overtime. Because I think had the Bengals gotten some better play calling from Zach Taylor, they probably could have either won the game or at least tied the game. And unfortunately for them, they left some plays out on the field they just weren't able to execute. And that's why the Bengals are going home, not as Super Bowl champions. And Kevin, I want to hit on the point that you made about their long-term future with Joe Burrow. I'm 100% with you on this one. You have to protect him at all costs. And the fact of the matter is that offensive line is just weak. I know that Joe keeps a very cool demeanor. He doesn't get he doesn't get flustered by huge moments of the game, where he doesn't get super frustrated when things aren't going their way. But I know in the back of his head that him taking all these hits, it's annoying. And it's going to get to a point where he's going to start suffering some really big injuries outside of the ones that he's already sustained in the first 2 years of his career. Joe Burrow, he has the potential of being probably the best quarterback in Bengals franchise history. He's already off to a good start. He's already taken them to a Super Bowl in his first 2 years. And I wouldn't be surprised if he takes them to another one in the future. But their main priority this offseason is to get protection for that guy, because that's your franchise piece. He shows you that he can go out and make the big plays when they matter the most. And if he's constantly getting hit, that could shorten a player's career. We've seen it, like you said, with Andrew Luck. And hopefully Cincinnati can learn a thing or two from Indy's mistakes so that Joe Burrow can play for 10, 15 seasons and not suffer the amount of hits that Andrew Luck did with Indy. So, all in all, the Bengals are in a good position. They have a great quarterback piece in the fold for themselves. I think Zach Taylor is a competent coach moving forward. But in this game specifically, I do think that the play calling cost them in this one. And it's unfortunate because I really do think the Bengals were this close to winning a Super Bowl. But bad play calling and poor execution, that's why they're going home. It's just unfortunate for them.